Make sure when you're working with the new student that you don't forget to tell them, okay, we're going to replace the hood, we're going to replace the fender. So where on the car would you want to make sure the color matches the best? The adjacent panel, right? So you'd want to make sure it's this door that we're checking the color on. Because that car might have been fixed in the back before, right?
Sensor, and then you would always put the car over the station.
Now you know what to do next, right? Come on, let's go.
Double checking while you're putting it in and you don't make a mistake. That's what we're doing as a learner.
C407.
Yes. Always double check.
Have to look at the quarter 1 or anything because we already know 4 ounces are going towards that. So
you just want to make sure that it's the amount of ounces that you need that the color fit the size.
So they could be on 407. You get the exact measurement.
And then we have to press continue.
It's not critical right now because the machine will adjust. But what will happen if you go over? Then you're going to make more than your 4 ounces because the machine will adjust all the amounts of all the other colors. So some things are critical. We always want to know when we're done that every number was 100. The least for is paint materials. So every manager, every owner is watching the painter like a hawk. If he comes into the paint room and sees extra paint left over all over the place, that's paint that he paid for, that you mixed, that didn't go on the car, that he did not get reimbursed for.
Does that one feel empty?
And your coverage is great, okay? The car looks beautiful. In the bags, first thing we teach students, you got your respirator, that's what keeps you safe. Your mask has to go in the bag because inside here are charcoal filters that absorb fumes and stuff constantly. Okay. So as soon as you're not using it, you keep it in the Ziploc bag so they don't go bad.
Okay. First.
Bottom on, lock, then grab this,
and then
come up over
inhale,
and on your
pull
head.
it in.
Yep.
All right.
So it's tight enough. Now it's a comfort thing. If you want it tighter, you can make it tighter if you want. It's good. Now you just off with your hat.
Hold on, give me a second.
Page is the procedure page. Okay? That's what the definition P page is. And Flora will explain to you, and if you need help, I'll be glad to step in, but she should know everything about what she finds on that P page. Okay? More so than me taking each group and start to finish with them in each little segment. I have students out here doing body work, getting ready to get cars primed. I have students over in the other shop that are cutting and welding and removing structural pieces. So if we operate like a regular body shop.
See here? So you go 5 ounces, so you basically would do 2 to 2 to 2.
And where can you see the temperature?
You could see it on the booth where you turn on the booth right there. It's a green number. You'll see the temperature right there.
So it has to be dry, each coat, before you can apply another coat. When here in Florida, it's real humid. Even if it's hot, it's hard to dry a water-based product.
So right now we're gonna turn on the booth, and then we're gonna put it on winter. When we put it on winter, basically it means that it's cold outside. So that's the case, but we want it to be warm in here. And then maybe on bake, right here, you would put it on bake when it's bearing, and then you just want to get stuff done over here, just leave, turn off the lights, and then bake with it.
Now, proper distance. Watch John, and he'll show you about the proper distance when you're spraying base on the car. Distance makes a big difference with metallic colors. Where the water's coming out, still wet. You just gotta work your way to remove all that. It's almost like the shine of the water. paying attention to floor cleaning the gun is super important. We have new gun policy now. All guns get checked in and checked out. That means when it comes back to me, I'll inspect it to make sure that it's clean.
So what I do, I always clean it thoroughly, let it squeeze out all the metallics, all the paint, until I stop seeing it. And then I would take apart my pieces, and every piece I would put it in a cup. I'm putting it in a cup right now. And then while I'm cleaning my gun, all of them are just soaking up in water. While you clean this, those are just gonna soak up. That's similar to the metallic or any of the solvents. And you need a clean air flow. So, and I try to push it. I usually get a smaller one like this one. Okay, so remember how I told you it's gonna be 4 to 1 to 1. So we're gonna make 6 ounces, like about 5 ounces. So we'll do 2 to 2 to 2.
Okay, so I hope you guys like the video I'm submitting for my my assignment. I tried to give you a day of what it would be like for a new student just learning a part of my program. I teach in so many things at one time. I've learned to use my more experienced students to help with my new students. Just today, we went through probably 25 benchmarks. They're all marked right here on this sheet. Every one of these was covered today. So I know you wanted 10. There was a really hard for me to break that down. I do understand that my students need to learn in digestible bites, but they have this much to learn at one time. We do it repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly over and over for days until they get it and they understand it. Pretty soon, the new student is teaching the next new students, and I keep them in groups of 3 like that. You know, some of the questions you had were the students able to identify critical content? And, you know, my answer to that is yes, continually discussed by more experienced students working with and coaching the beginning students. That's how it happens in my class, and it happens on a continual basis. How do you reinforce the critical content? Reinforcement comes from explaining and showing the consequences of what happens when you don't stick to the basic directions and what is critical and what is not critical, and how you deal with those issues. The other question you had was, what do students do to identify critical content versus non-critical? In my class, we think of everything as critical, because if you make one mistake, your paint job could be ruined, your project could be completely ruined. The main thing that I like to reinforce is the most critical thing is their health. So we have some real stringent requirements on when they have to have their respirators on, what has to be done, things like that. Other than that, anything can be a mistake and anything can be fixed, but in the real world, it is critical that it be done right. So we continually reinforce and relate past experiences that have occurred to more experienced students, to the new students, and you know, I relate my experiences to them. I was brought up in the industry before we knew about all the health hazards, so I'm a really good example of saying, hey, if you don't wear your respirators, you're going to wind up like me. I've had COPD for 8 years now. So you know, those things happen to people in our industry when they don't take care of themselves. The last question you had, what are you learning about your students as you adapt to create new strategies? I learned sometimes that they relate better to their peers than they do to me. That's why I take the more experienced students and have them work with the newer students, and I continually rotate around and help all of them with any questions and make sure that the experienced students are guiding the new ones correctly.